This is Harriet Grayson, your host and producer for Community Culture Showcase. And it's wonderful to see you again. It is almost spring. I have been away for many weeks, sunning myself in lovely Florida, but I do miss coming here, so I'm back. The first thing that happened when I returned was snow, which I had gotten away from. But listen, it's lovely out there. We love these New England springs. It's almost here. So I want to let you know about some events that are happening in our community that I hope that you will support in whatever fashion that you find possible. So the first thing is that, for many of you may know, I am a volunteer with Southern Rhode Island Volunteers. And we are primarily a volunteer organization. Hundreds and hundreds of volunteers doing work in the community. And the organization serves the community in a few ways. Number one, it provides Meals on Wheels. So that's that idea of having people come to your house for people who can't get out for whatever reason. Usually it's physical. They're either disabled or they're just having a tough time. Wintertime, for example, they don't want to go out in the snow and the ice. So people come and deliver their meals. And that is a very big service. And one of the great things about Meals on Wheels is not only do you go into someone's house and provide them some nourishment, it's also an opportunity, particularly for senior folks, to have someone to chit-chat with, a real live person, not the TV, not the radio, a real person. And in addition, that person gets to know you and sort of serves as kind of a watching over you. So if your condition starts to waver or something happens to you falter, these are the people that are the guards of that. They come in your home and they can see how well you're doing, if you're taking your medicine, if you've been drinking water, all those kinds of things they can reflect on. So we're always looking for volunteers who are willing to make a commitment to deliver the meals. And again, done completely by volunteers. However, the food that is served is not free. And so it's free to the recipient, or a very low amount of money. But we need support for that to be able to pay for all that food to make it available. The other thing that Southern Rhode Island Volunteers does, it also provides for disabled and seniors, or people who simply just do not drive, medical transport. And these are people like my husband, who pick up people at their homes and take them to the doctor, to the hospital, to the pharmacy, to all of these kinds of places because they simply can't get out. And if it wasn't for these volunteers taking people to these places, they might not be able to even live in their homes. So this is absolutely a great value. The people who do this, entirely volunteers. They don't even receive any reimbursement for the mileage. It's entirely a free service to the individual. So again, we need support for that, just to let people know that we provide that kind of service, both for the recipients and for the volunteers who are willing to do that kind of service. The other thing is kind of interesting. You would not think this, but Southern Rhode Island Volunteers is also involved with disaster readiness. So there's something called the Community Emergency Response Team, and SRIV is part of this kind of organization, which helps for sheltering during times of man-made and natural disasters. We've been fortunate this winter, but in other times, in different seasons, we have had terrible emergencies, and there was a need for people to be involved in this kind of organization. So what else do we do? The other thing SRIV is that it tries to match a volunteer with something they'd like to do. And so it has arrangements with some museums and other kinds of organizations, food pantries, schools, libraries. They're all involved, and we can help. If you really want to be a volunteer in something quite specific, we can help you find that organization, one of those nonprofits, to work with, and you'd be surprised how helpful that is, because sometimes people want to volunteer, they just don't know what to do. So you contact SRIV's headquarters and you let them know who you are, where you live, and find out actually what you can possibly do to help people. It's a wonderful, wonderful service. So I wanted to let you know about that, but listen, every organization out there, especially nonprofits, need money. And so every organization usually has some kind of annual event where they ask the public for their help. In the case of SRIV, what we're having is a bowl-a-thon, which is going to be held March 31st. There it is. From noon to 3 at the bowling alley in Wakefield. So it's Old Mountain Lanes in Wakefield, Rhode Island. And that's where it's being held. We still need bowlers. If there are organizations out there that would like to host a lane, they can do so. And here's you can just call up SRIV right in town, 401-552-7661. Speak to the people there, and they'll let you know about being a sponsor or showing up. And it's, everything else is quite reasonable. The other thing that's great about the bowling event is not only do you get a chance to bowl, but there's lots and lots of auction items that are available for people to, you buy the auction tickets. You know this kind of activity. You've done it plenty of times before, and you drop those tickets into the baskets, and lo and behold, at the end of the event, and you don't have to be there for the end of the event, they'll notify you if you've won one of the many, many baskets. And I'd like to show you just how extensive our auction items really are. So we have a whole bunch that we like to talk about. One of the first is, there it is, Pampered Ladies Day. It includes a gift card at a spa, a makeup bag, all kinds of shampoos and creams and lotions and shower gels. Wonderful, wonderful fun things. And that is a Pampered Ladies Day. That is just one of the many auction items. So that's why it's fun to come. If you don't come to the event, it's hard for you to participate in the auction. So we want you to come on out. It's not that far. Wakefield, Rhode Island, just a little bit in South County. A lovely little drive on Route 1. The next item is beer. Oh, don't we all love beer? So it's beers and beers and beers. So you have 8 specially selected world-class beers, 5 pints to hold your own tasting, 2 beer mugs, lots of munchy foods. That's another auction item. Lots of fun. As you know, get some tickets. You buy the tickets at the event, March 31st, Old Mountain Lanes, Wakefield, Rhode Island. Not such a big trip. Go there, buy some tickets, stick it in the basket with the beer. Now, what else do we have? Oh, we have lots and lots of lovely things. How about golfing? Golfing for 4 people, and it is being donated by Timber Creek Resort, home to a 9-hole golf course as well as other activities. And at that day of golf is a gift certificate for lunch. So, again, you like to golf, come along, and you can get this particular item. Again, it's in an auction box. It says golf, 4 for golf. You put your ticket in there, but again, you have to show up. March 31st, Wakefield, Rhode Island, Old Mountain Lanes. It's a fun place to go. If you've never been to Old Mountain Lanes, I strongly recommend it. It's a lovely, lovely place. It has a nice restaurant. It has its own bar, and it's a big, spacious space. So there's lots of opportunity for people to do more than simply bowl. And again, you get those auction items. So we have more auction items. We have Museums and Culture of South County. Who would think? Yeah, we are. So we have Smith Castle. We have South County Museum. We have tickets for the Contemporary Theater. We have tickets to the American Indian Museum. All of these are available under this kind of auction item called Museums and Culture of South County. And again, all you would do was buy those tickets March 31st at the Old Mountain Lanes Bowling Alley in Wakefield, Rhode Island, and go ahead and pick up some tickets and then put those tickets into the auction basket that best represents the things you are just wanting to have. So this one in particular was museums. We've got culture, we've got wine, we've got a spa day for the ladies, could be for the men, and then we have other ones I want to tell you about. So what else is available? This is lovely. Sweet Tooth. Oh my gosh. Jennifer's Chocolates in Wakefield. Lovely, lovely sweets. Milk chocolate, chocolate footballs, chocolate stars, chocolate popcorn, you name it, and we got chocolate. So all you chocolate lovers out there, this is the opportunity to stick a little ticket in the basket And again, March 31st, Old Mountain Lanes in Wakefield, Rhode Island. Not a real long trip. It's a lovely time. It's a Sunday afternoon. What else have you got to do? We have more. We have what's entertainment. That's entertainment. And this is for entertainment for the cinemas and also equipment rental at Extreme Air Source in Peacedale, and a certificate for the Whalers Brewing Company. So again, lots of lovely things to do, and you can just stick in your tickets into this particular basket and whatever your chances might be. It's the baskets are absolutely beautiful to look at. The volunteers, remember this is a volunteer organization, the volunteers at SRIV went ahead and make these gorgeous, gorgeous baskets to entice you to put your little tickets in. So that's another part. Now, there's more. We have lots more. Then we have s'mores by the fire. And that is a backyard pit where somebody's going to, again, one of the volunteers is going to donate their backyard pit, and they'll have lots of marshmallows, and you know how to make those s'mores, and you just have your friends and family come to their house. So that's a cool one. Again, just stick that little ticket into the basket that talks about that one. There's more. A special South County experience, and this, for people who really like to eat shellfish, Matunic Oyster Bar Restaurant. That's the gift certificate. And also wine from Charlestown Wine and Spirits. Now this, if you've never been to Matunic Oyster Bar, it's absolutely a wonderful experience. It's right there in one of those lovely ocean coves. You sit around, drink your wine, and have wonderful, wonderful views. So that's a great thing. That is called a special, and it is special, South County experience. So you got to get yourself a little tickets and go and stick it in there. There's more. We have wonderful auction items. Okay, this is definitely for the family. Mystic Aquarium Family Day. There are tickets for a family of 4, and you get a little whale mascot to take home with you. If you've never been to Mystic Aquarium, it is a definite must-see. It's it's right near the water, right off of I-95. You can see it when you drive on 95. It's easy to get to. Wonderful exhibits of all kinds for young people, adults, even seniors. They have a collection of wild animals, marine animals out there. They do an enormous amount of research, and some of that they share with the public. They have a very adorable movie theater where they show great movies about the marine life, and they have actually quite decent cafeteria where you can take the family to eat during or after your wonderful visit. So this is a great opportunity. This is My Mystic Aquarium Family Day. Again, a wonderful, wonderful auction item. Let me continue. So then we have kids just want to have fun. And that's going to be games and outdoor sports toys and books. This is great for the grandchildren. Do your holiday shopping early by putting in a bid for this particular item. I think you'll have a lot of fun with it, especially if kids of different ages, because that's what the basket's all about. Kids, prizes and toys and stuff for kids of all ages. Again, you got to get yourself on the March 31st to the Old Mountain Lanes, pick up a few tickets and stick them in those little baskets. You'll enjoy it enormously. There is more. Mangia. It's Italian tonight. Oh my God, they'll stock up your kitchen with all kinds of Italian foods that you can make an incredible dinner for. So this is wonderful for people who are looking to make a special Italian flavor to maybe their Easter dinner. This is a wonderful opportunity to put in something a little bit different if you're not Italian and you're inviting the whole family over for Easter. So this is a great opportunity to pick up this stuff. Also, you get a gift certificate to Belmont Market, which is a wonderful business. And I have to give a shout out to Belmont because in the past they have always been extremely, extremely generous to Southern Rhode Island volunteers. And that's what we need. Companies out there who will like to sponsor events like this, who, whatever their business might be, through their generosity, we're able to present these kinds of programs because, again, this is an organization run almost exclusively by volunteers. I mean, there's very few paid staff. They are physically housed in Ninigret Park in the Charlestown Senior Center upstairs, which is quite a lovely place because they have a lovely community garden nearby. But out of this small office, they do an enormous amount of work all over South County. It's a wonderful, wonderful organization to be associated with. So let's go on. What else do we have? We have, oh my goodness, man and woman's best friend, Fido, out there. For dog lovers, this is a gift basket for all the doggies that you want to have fun with. It's a little early for Christmas, but what the heck? You can pick them up now, maybe for Fido's birthday. Everything you possibly want for that lovely four-legged friend of yours. So again, you just get down to the bowling alley last Sunday in March, get some tickets, and if this is important to you, to make sure Fido has a good year, then you buy some tickets and stick them in the basket, and maybe you will be rewarded and Fido will love you forever. But there's more. There's more. We have a basket with stuff from a very well-known and lovely firm, Ivory Ella. If any of you have any of their clothing, you will agree with me. It's beautiful, high-quality stuff. It's out of Westerly, Rhode Island. And again, we are helped by our endeavors, by the generosity and the kindness of businesses who are willing to cooperate and help us out. So shout out there to Ivory Ella. And that, again, is one of the auction items that you can select. But wait, there's even more. A South County garden. Everything you need to start that garden. It's pretty coming soon. March is a little bit too cold. Parts of April might be still a little nippy. But come early May or the end of April, it's time to plant your garden. And we have a basket full of good stuff just for that gardener. You know, you're walking around with those old garden gloves or some old tools you use in the garden. This is a replacement. So go ahead and think about a South County garden. That's another auction item. There are more. We are helped by the generosity of many of our volunteers putting up this stuff. So how about those Patriots? This is everything a Patriot fan could wish for. A calendar, a grocery bag, a shirt, men's shirts, women's shirts, hats, scarf, a Super Bowl, a champ's cap, coasters, scratch tickets, necklaces, bottle openers, you name it. And it's got the Patriots on it. You will definitely want to put your tickets into this auction item. Again, how about those Patriots? Yes, indeed. So what else is there? Oh, we have beer, we have entertainment, and we have to have wine. Wine, wine, wine. That's all you ever do. So Leyden Farm Vineyards and Winery is offering gift certificates for a home tasting experience. So that is going to be awfully fun. Again, we are indebted to the generosity of some of the businesses in our community that helps and supports Southern Rhode Island volunteers. Very much. And again, our last auction item, but I think this is like number 20, is beach sand between my toes. So what do you need? A state beach pass, a gift certificate for 2 passes, a surf shop gift certificate, LL Bean beach towel, more towels, a kite, a stick ball, and what else do you need when you go to the beach? Sunscreen. So this is a great item for all you beachgoers. This is beach sand between my toes. That is our last auction item. So I want you to think about it and try very hard to come out. It is, again, the end of March. It's going to be a Sunday afternoon. There are probably many things competing for your time and attention. But this is kind of a fun event. If you've never been to Old Mountain Lanes, it's worth a drive there. It's in Wakefield, Rhode Island. It's not hard to find. And for a very reasonable amount of money, you can just bowl that afternoon. And then, of course, buy your tickets for the auction items. In fact, for some people, that's why they go. They don't go to bowl. They come because they know year after year when we've been doing these things, our auction items are just lots and lots of fun. And so people have taken advantage of that, and they come by and they buy our tickets, and they can have a heck of a good time because there will be food at the bowling alley. And the bowling alley itself has a restaurant and bar if you care to purchase things by yourself. But there will be bowling, and there'll be some snacks, and I think they'll probably have pizza, which is what they usually have. And then, of course, just load up on auction tickets, put them in those gift boxes. You do not have to be there to win, because we ask for your name and your phone number, so there is a way to contact you. So if you are a winner, don't worry about it. We'll get in contact with you and we'll let you know. And these are just absolutely lovely prizes. And more importantly, all of whatever it is you care to give us goes to an incredibly worthy cause. We live in a selfish life, most of us. We live in a world where somehow the civics of living have diminished greatly. This is an opportunity to become a volunteer and do something good for the community. Our volunteers help people who in many cases depend on us to really enrich their lives. I mean, it goes from the Meals on Wheels, which in many cases is something that actually allows a person to stay in their home rather than go into a facility, because we are able to provide them a nutritious meal at least 5 times a week. So that's an important, very important thing. The other thing is that there are lots of seniors and disabled folks whose children have moved away, and their neighbors are not neighbors anymore, and they need people to take them to the doctor, to the hospital, to the pharmacy. So these are the kinds of things that the medical transport people do. Again, completely volunteer. There are, we don't have paid staff, we don't have a bus, people aren't taking you here and there. These are volunteers who take you in their cars, their personal cars. And again, we are always looking for volunteers who are willing to do this. We're always looking for volunteers who are willing to deliver the meals. These are important issues. And then we do other kinds of events that are in the community. We have done Washington County Fair, Fairgrounds. They have a big event every year. Oftentimes the volunteers from SRIV help in whatever way they can. My husband and I have been cashiers where the SRI booth is selling hot dogs and hamburgers and food like that. And again, that helps the organization that's actually running Washington County Fair, but also we are part of that. We have over the years have been participants in helping at the Seafood Festival. Again, it's all this kind of work that, and you don't have to commit to 5 hours a week or anything like that. If you have an occasional 1 hour a month that you can spare to be a volunteer, we welcome that opportunity. And if you're interested in kids or in animals or even in culture and museums, what we do is link up all of these community organizations with people like yourselves who wish to be volunteers. You sign up with the SRIV, and it helps you to get known what you want to actually do and volunteer for. Again, the number is 401-552-7661. Now, I know many of my viewers are here in Connecticut, but there's no harm in coming out and helping in Rhode Island. There's Meals on Wheels is all over, so if you live here in Connecticut, there are Meals on Wheels deliveries to Westerly and to the communities closest to the Connecticut border. And again, we welcome people to think about becoming volunteers. All you have to do is be at least 16 years old. If you're young like that, we'll probably require your parents' permission. But we want to give people, particularly start young people, in the idea of giving back to the community. I was inspired to become a volunteer by my late mother-in-law. She was a great member of society. She was a civic member. She was involved in local politics, but she was involved in the library. She was involved in the sports that went on in the schools. She was involved in all of these things. She was the wife of a Mason. So there's that Easter seals that she was involved with. all kinds of community groups to do all kinds of service in very varied ways back to the community. And psychologically, there's nothing like being a volunteer and giving back. When you do something for someone else, it makes you feel like $1 million. There's no way of diminishing that. It's a great, great kind of thing to do for yourself. And if you have children who are older than 16, it's a wonderful way to introduce them to the idea of doing service. Now, we know there are many schools in the community that foster or require community service. So if you have a child like that who's in a school where that's required, by all means, give a call to Southern Rhode Island Volunteers, and they would be happy to try and see if they can match your child or grandchild with an appropriate kind of nonprofit organization that needs some help. And help comes in a variety of ways. Help can be simply helping to direct traffic for an event. It could be something like selling hot dogs. It could be, for a young person, certainly not driving anyone, but other kinds of activities that we will find for you that is age appropriate. And many times the origination of this organization was in a concept of seniors helping seniors. But that concept has expanded greatly so that we have lots of younger people involved. We've had great cooperation in the past with the sororities of URI. So again, getting young people involved in their community is very important. It's kind of a thing that you can learn when you're young, and it can carry you over well into your adulthood. And if you have children or grandchildren, you can kind of instill in them this whole idea to volunteer. So as I was talking about my late mother-in-law, she inspired my husband, who inspired our daughters, and they also learned how to volunteer. They were doing things like running the bingo at a senior center. Again, there's lots and lots of opportunities for people of all ages. And again, this is not a job that you're going to. You're a volunteer. We don't expect you to be there every single day. But we would like, if you're interested, we would like a commitment, a time. It could be, as I said, one day a month. But first we have to find you the most appropriate organization and then sort of work out a kind of a schedule that works for you and works for them. So again, if you're interested in volunteering, we're really interested in hearing from you. Southern Rhode Island Volunteers, 401-552-7661. And if you look on the website, and it is www.southern.org. You can go on the website and you can also find information, not only about the event coming up March 31st, but also just generally about how you can volunteer, what kind of volunteer activities are going on, and where are they in the many communities in which the organization serves. So again, if you're a Connecticut resident and you live near the Rhode Island border, you can volunteer and be of a great productive member of society by helping out in any number of ways, including things like the animal shelters, if you want to give your time and energy to something like that. So that's my great plug for Southern Rhode Island Volunteers. It has been, for me, a great pleasure and just a fulfilling experience volunteering for many, many activities. And if you see this and you're interested, I'll be happy to shake your hand on Sunday, March 31st at Old Mountain Lanes there in Wakefield, Rhode Island, because I'll be there. I have one of those baskets that I'm putting together, and I'll be bowling my heart out for Southern Rhode Island Volunteers. And we thank volunteers. We give them a nice lunch for all the work that they do. This is an organization that functions almost exclusively with the help of volunteers. And so we ask for your support. And of course, we would love for you to be part of the organization. And there are hundreds of volunteers associated with the group. So that's just a wonderful opportunity. So now I want to kind of shift gears, if you can say that, and talk about another wonderful organization that I'm involved in. And that is something that I've created called Literary Salon, Books and Brews. What this is all about is that we live in this fabulous community, and we are a community of artists. We have writers, we have painters, we have sculptors, we have jewelry makers. And what I am saluting with Literary Salon is the many, many writers in Connecticut and in Rhode Island who have these wonderful, wonderful books. And my organization, Literary Salon, is just something that I created to be an opportunity for young readers and writers to come together, as well as all kinds of authors to read their books, discuss literature. And what I've done for 2019 is I've decided to create a theme. Every time we have a literary salon, we're going to have a theme. In January, the theme was writers, great writers, who were born in the month of January. And there were a host of great ones. So we had people come, the public come, as well as local writers, and we read Poe. Who else did we read? I can't remember. Poe was one of the favorite ones, but there are other great writers who were born in January, and people selected whoever they wanted and came forward and read their stuff. And I think it's just absolutely marvelous. Now, March, as many of you might know, is beware of the Ides of March. So what's that all about? Well, the Ides of March actually comes from this idea from the Roman period about paying off your debts, making sure you've ended all your payment of debts. But what it's most famous for is, of course, March 15th, 44 BC, the assassination of Julius Caesar in Rome. And so that's so from taking you from that, the murder of kings and queens, that's the theme for Literary Salon Books and Brews. And we are hosted by the Malted Barley upstairs. It's March 18th at 7 p.m. I always give out a shout out to Colin Bennett, the owner of the Malted Barley, who has been letting me do this for more than a year. I thank him. And when you go upstairs, it's a beautiful, beautiful room. And we're looking for you to come and read from any one of your favorite books, fiction or nonfiction, that has to do with the assassination of kings and queens. So as some of you might know, I write mysteries under the pen name of Anastasia Goodman. And so my characters are Russian. And so I'll be reading from Nicholas and Alexandra, who were the last Tsar and Tsarina of Russia, who were assassinated when the Russian Revolution sparked, and I guess they actually were murdered in 1918. So that's what I'll be doing. But I want to give you a taste of what's possible, because who writes the greatest stuff when it comes to the murder of kings and queens? William Shakespeare. And so what I wanted to do was get you in the right mood by actually reading for you some of the stuff that Shakespeare has written, because no one could possibly speak more beautifully than William Shakespeare. Certainly not I, even as a writer. So we're talking about Henry IV, Part 1. And here's what, if you can remember, maybe having read it as I did in high school and then maybe in college, here's what Hotspur, who was a very important character in Henry IV. The king is kind and well, we know the king. Knows at what time to promise, when to pay. My father and my uncle and myself did give him that same royalty he wears. And when he was not 26 strong, sick in the world's regard, wretched and low, a poor, unminded outlaw, sneaking home, my father gave him welcome to the shore. And when he heard him swear and vow to God, he came but to be the Duke of Lancaster, to sue his livery and beg his peace, with tears of innocence and terms of zeal. My father, in kind heart and pity moved, swore him assistance, and performed it too. Now, when the lords and barons of the realm perceived Northampton, did I learn to him. The more and less came in with cap and knee, met him in boroughs, cities, villages, attended him on bridges and stood in lines, laid gifts before him, proffered him their oaths, gave him their heirs as pages, followed him even at the heels in golden multitudes. He presently, as greatness knows itself, steps me a little higher than his vow, made to my father while his blood was poor, upon the naked shore of Ravensburg. And now, forsooth, takes on him to reform some certain edicts and some strait decrees that lie too heavy on the commonwealth, cries out upon abuses, seems to weep over his country's wrongs, and by his face, this seeming brow of justice did he win, the hearts of all that he did angle for, proceeded further, cut me off the heads of all the favorites that the absent king in deputation left behind him there when he was personal in the Irish War. So, I'm sure you're hearing me and not having a clue what it's all about. It's irrelevant. That's what Shakespeare's all about. Because who would read Shakespeare if they would actually needed to know everything? So I love Henry IV Part 1. I've read it several times, but it just shows you about the killing of kings and queens. Of course, this is about a murder of a king. Everybody was killing each other, and in fact, it's very historically true, but in fact, that's how the powers of England, killing off kings and queens, was very common. And of course, Shakespeare's, one of his most famous histories, of course, is his play on the murder and assassination of Julius Caesar in that very play, which is the idea behind the Ides of March, which are March 15th, but I can't have my literary salon then, so we're going to have it on March 18th at 7 o'clock at the Malted Barley upstairs there, and you can have a nice beer, root beer if you don't drink, or a glass of wine, have a wonderful pretzel, and read your favorite story, fiction or nonfiction, about the murder of kings and queens. And I picked out my Russian Tsar and Tsarina, but you can have the murder of any number of people. I would even say, if you have a favorite book about the assassination of our favorite presidents, either Lincoln or John F. Kennedy, that would be something that would be worth reading as well. They are, of course, not kings, but in our democracy, our presidents. So if you have a favorite book that talks about the murder of John F. Kennedy Jr. or of Abraham Lincoln's assassination, we'd love to hear from you. Or just bring some friends around, and there'll be other people who might be reading. So the other thing I kind of picked out, now this everybody knows, I mean, they must have hammered it at school for you. Hamlet, of course. Now, the story with Hamlet, many of you actually are familiar with, and that is that Hamlet thinks that his uncle killed his father and married his mother. So that is, of course, the story of Hamlet, told much more graciously than I just described. But I'll just read you a few words. This is probably some of the most famous words in the English language. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against the sea of troubles, and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep no more. And by a sleep to say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to, 'tis consumption, devoutly to be wished, to die, to sleep, perchance to dream. Ah, there's the rub. For in the sleep of death, what dreams may come, when we have shuttled off this mortal coil, must give us pause. That's the respect that makes calamity so long life. For who could bear the whips and scorns of time, the oppressor's wrong, the proud man's cumberly, the pangs of despised love, the law's delay, the insolence of office, and the spurns that patient merit of their unworthy takes. Some of you may remember, but anyway, it's a great book. Hamlet. If you like Hamlet, please come and read any section of it. Read a few sections, bring a few friends, and you can take part. We have had at Literary Salon in 2018, last year, we actually had a play reading, and that was just great fun. A playwright who brought his actors, and as well had the public, whoever showed up for that event, actually participate in reading the play, and it was a lot of fun. So if you're a playwright out there who has a play that you'd like to have performed, we would be happy to host that performance at the Literary Salon, Books and Brews, at the Malted Barley. You have to contact me at graysonharriet@gmail.com and tell me about that great play that you have, because we're always interested in plays or performance pieces that can actually be done in a half an hour to an hour, because that's the time that we usually spend. So if you have a play, you can tell us. If you come March 18th, you can talk to me about it, and we can actually schedule it. I'm going to have, unlike last year, this year, every time we have a literary salon, we're going to have a theme. So obviously this theme is the Ides of March. And our next theme for April will be Easter Parade. So we're looking for things that have to do with Easter or Passover or springtime. So again, your favorite author, fiction, nonfiction, that would you like to read in public. We're entertaining all of those things. And then if we have local authors whose books have to do with springtime, with perhaps Easter or Passover, something like that, let me know, and we'll have a little time for you to do your own reading. So we have to enjoy, we like to have local authors read, and we want to encourage the public to come and read. That's what a literary salon is, an opportunity to share ideas with like-minded people who want to talk about literature or history, and we're all together having pretzels and drinking beer and just having a hoot of a time. So I encourage you to stop by and see what it's all about, because we, unlike last year, we're going to have more of it's not going to be the same time every month. We're going to pick and choose our dates and wrap them around specific events. So like April 19th is the beginning of Passover, and it's also the beginning of the Easter season. So we're going to have things about that, and we'll figure out a date that doesn't conflict with what many families want to do. So again, we'd like to invite you to Literary Salon on Monday, March 18th at 7 o'clock at the Malted Barley. The Malted Barley is in downtown Westerly, Rhode Island, 42 High Street. I think you'll have a wonderful, wonderful time. And again, the Malted Barley has beer from who knows where, all over the world. They bring them beer, delicious handmade pretzels. You will never have a pretzel as delicious as the ones you get there. And the company of people who like to talk about and read and write literature and nonfiction. So we have historians, and we have novelists, and we have mystery writers, and we have poets. And they can all show up and tell us about all of the wonderful things that they produced. My last one that I just wanted to bring to your attention, because it also is one of these incredible, nobody writes history with drama in it, especially murder, like Shakespeare. He is better than any mystery writer possibly could. So my other book, which I'm showing you, is Richard III. Now, Richard III is a great historical figure. He was deformed, if you can picture this. If any of you have seen it performed on the stage, he is deformed, usually seen as a kind of a hunchback little guy. He is a duke. And of course, what does he do? He wants to kill the king and take over. That's what they all want to do in these Shakespearean plays. And so he actually has killed or kills himself a whole bunch of lords so that no one should get in his way, so he can become the great king, which he actually does become. And he murders a whole bunch of people in the process, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful reading. And here's just I just wanted to read you a little sample. I know this might be a little bit boring, but this is stuff I like to do. And since it's my program, I can sort of do what I want to do. And so we read, this is Queen Margaret in Richard III. "What? Were you snarling, Owl, before I came? ready to catch each other by the throat and turn you all your hated now on me. Did York's dread curse prevail so much with heaven that Henry's death, my lovely Edward's death, their kingdom's loss, my woeful banishment, should all but answer for the peevish brat? Can curses pierce the clouds and enter heaven? Why then give way, dull clouds, to my quick curses? Shakespeare writes some wonderful parts for women as well as men. So again, come to our literary salon. No one's forcing you to bring Shakespeare. But if you like Shakespeare, any of these great histories, come and bring them along. We could probably get a couple of people who are there to do the parts, and we can have a whole little play presentation of one of his great histories. And of course, the Ides of March is upon us, and we need to be wary, as they would say, as Shakespeare would say, to the Ides of March. Well, I don't hope to have anything as dangerous as that, and I don't expect to collect any debts from you all, but come along and have some fun on this wonderful literary occasion. So I'm hoping glad that you've enjoyed my show today, where I try to just showcase what's happening here in our community. Not to forget, the end of the month is Southern Rhode Island Volunteers and their wonderful bowl-a-thon, which will give you an opportunity to support and become perhaps a volunteer to help people out in the community. And then I want to have all of you people who love literature, who love reading in public, who have a favorite book or whatever, to come and see what Literary Salon is all about. If you happen to have something about the assassination of kings and queens, please bring them. I gave you Shakespeare, but it certainly doesn't have to be Shakespeare. And I, as I said, will be talking about the murder of Nicholas and Alexandra, the last Tsar and Tsarina of Imperial Russia. But I also invite people who might have a particular interest in American history, if there's fiction, nonfiction, about the assassination, of course, of Lincoln and John F. Kennedy Jr. And so I think those are 100 years apart, some of the insanity that is not new to this country, but actually we have gone through before, and the country has survived. It survived after Lincoln's assassination, it survived after John F. Kennedy's, and it will survive after anything else. So I want to thank you for listening in. And this is Harriet Grayson. I am your host and producer of Community Culture Showcase, and we look forward to seeing you again, and we'll have many, many more programs coming up in the coming months.